Steve from the development team? Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing the CSS video over. It does not take 26 minutes to add CSS to a web page. And I'm gonna show the viewers today. Oh, hey, yes, that's right. We're doing the CSS videos over, partially, some of them. Today we need to add CSS to an actual web page. So go on ahead, open up your favorite text editor. I have Visual Studio Code open with an index file to the upper left. Yep. All right, so let's add CSS to a web page. So I have Visual Studio Code open, and what we can do is just get a bare bones boilerplate HTML file. If I can actually type here, there we go. And from here, what we can do is actually, let's make sure we see something on the actual page. We'll just add a div. All right, with some words in it. And let me refresh that. It should auto refresh, but here we go. We have a div, we have a bare bones web page project here. And now what we can do is add the styles. The first way to actually add the styles would be actually just using the actual style word here, just like this. And from there, what we can do is let's add an actual class. So we'll just call it container, and we're going to give this container an actual border. We'll say 1px solid red. Now we need to, so right now, there's your CSS rule right there. Now we need to make sure that we can actually see that in the actual HTML that's to the right over here. So let's go to our actual div, and we'll add the word class. And what is the name of our class that we actually added within the actual style elements here? It is container. So let's actually put the word container. And then from there, you'll notice I have a border. One border, it's 1px solid red, and we can see it to the right. Now what we can do is add additional rules, CSS rules if we needed to, but let's take a look at another way to actually add some CSS. Let's go right up here within the header. We'll go above the title, and we'll type in link, and I'll press tab for the auto completion, in which now what we can do is use an external styles file. So I'll just call the actual file style.css, which this file, it does not exist as of yet, but we're going to add it over here. And the name of that was style.css. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this to the right and close it here, and we'll minimize that. And this way we can actually see our HTML markup on the left with our CSS rules on the right. Now, I already have style directly into the actual page here, but let's add something else here. Let's say we want to, what do we want to do? Let's add a paragraph in here. Let's do that. So here's a paragraph with some words. And now what we want to do, the paragraph is inside the actual div. We still have the actual container class that's directly within the HTML file. But now let's actually add a rule in our CSS file, and we'll call it, what do we want? Paragraph. We'll call it paragraph what? Paragraph container, or we'll just call it paragraph. All right, it's the worst possible name that we could probably name for an actual class, but let's do that. Or actually, here, since it's a paragraph, let's just use that selector for all paragraphs in our document. We can say, let's add a border here. We'll say 1px solid, and let's go with green. All right, so now if we notice, and can we see that? Let's make that a little thicker here. All right, so now what we have two different locations for our CSS. We have a file called style.css, which is actually brought into the HTML file within the actual header link here. And we actually have some styles that are actually in the actual document itself. And so now our third way to actually add some CSS is some inline style. And normally we would not do this, but we can do that by actually typing style. And let's change the background color. And I'm going again. I use the auto completion a lot. I just pressed style and then tab, and then so now we're working on background color. And let's go with aqua. Let's do that. And so now we have the actual, let's change this border a little thicker. So we still have the actual container class within the HTML document. We have the HTML, the actual CSS file that has a rule of all paragraphs having a border of 3px solid green, which we can see here. All right, and then the aqua background that we see, which is actually attached to the div, is the inline style of the background color of aqua. And there you have it, 3 different ways to actually add styles to your HTML page. Thank you very much. Subscribe, like, leave a comment if you have any questions. Also, don't forget, if you want to increase your CSS skills for the different rules and values and properties, continue on with the video series right within this channel. There is a nice little playlist. Or, of course, you can move on to our JavaScript series as well. You'll find them at the end of the actual video.